Test. Good morning, good morning. Welcome up to the live stream today. I hope everybody's having a fantastic start to the week here on Monday. I gotta say, not too shabby out here so far. I'll take the way that the SPY's been moving. Holding up fairly well here. Pushing a bit higher, 691 coming up into play. The recent resistance is around 691.30. Let me take off or turn on my drawings, I should say. What we're looking for is for the SPY to test this gap up here. It's going to try to fill this gap zone, and it already has, so we'll see if it can actually get the good push through or not. I was leaning more to the downside, but I gotta say, with this upside momentum so far this morning with what I'm seeing, I'm pretty impressed. We might be getting an attempt on a breakout. This is the third test of this recent high. You know what they say, third time's the charm, or it's three strikes you're out, one or the other, but I think third time's the charm is what most people try to go with. What is going on though? Glad to see everybody here today. Silver, seriously, well above $100 an ounce, still pumping 110 essentially today. Over 110 this morning, but yeah, silver continues to get it done. I'm really being skeptical though here. I don't think that there's much move left, at least in the ultra short term, right? I think that we'll see a bit of pullback come in. Now again, will it continue in like a week or something? I think so, but I am getting a little skeptical in the ultra short term, but hey, keep riding the wave till it proves it's not, right? I just like having the backup plan ready, is all. Not saying I'm running into puts or anything like that. Now, if you've been doing that, though, you're in trouble with the way this thing gaps up. Wow. Tangy Man, Zach, Steve, West, The Good Guy, Jason, Sharpie, Steven, Jack, Outlaw, Alexander, Ramirez, Jake, appreciate you. Core Weave, Jack said. CRWV. I know I haven't mentioned it yet, but USAR is popping off too, but what the hell, Core Weave? Core Weave just started really going out of nowhere. They might have had some news that we didn't catch. Hey, Gilly Gallo, 300Z, Mr. James. James Bond in the house. See this CoreWeave news. NVIDIA invests $2 billion in CoreWeave as they expand their partnership. That's the headline right there. It's on Yahoo Finance, but it's Reuters headline. Oh yeah. Big one, Jake. Anytime NVIDIA gets involved with somebody, generally you see them pop up. Look at here, they have Polymarket. Well, Palantir close above 182 at the end of January is a 9% chance. Let's go see what the options market's pricing in for that. Oh, never mind. I guess we'll open Thinkorswim today. On this old PC, this Thinkorswim, once I start opening too many things, it starts to not work well. Should have my new computer fixed here in the next day or two. I was really hoping it was going to be fixed Saturday, but that was not the case. Yeah, interesting here. Helping to boost their data center build out. CoreWeave's really going it open though. 105 plus, breaking out like nothing. That's one hell of a move. How's Tessie? A lot better by Tesla. Bouncing off 440 support. Pretty straight down from open. I know it's weird, but straight down. Pretty weird PA so far. Trying to really hold that support zone. Gonna be a tough one for Tessie. Pretty rough move today. Very directional though. Which is always nice. USAR is up 25%. Can you guys believe it? It's pretty insane to say. Had a big gap up for last night. It was up a lot more than that. If you go to the end of after hours from Friday up to the high of pre-market today, it was up 62%. Now it's only up 25%. How dare it? Now only 25%, right? Mr. James is wishing that they had actually just bought shares instead of selling a put on USAR. I'm assuming you mean this stock. Wild with the rare earth there. We actually got really lucky. Called this one out on Thursday night's video, and then it popped off. You know, Thursday into Friday there. Did pretty well Friday afternoon, and then my gosh, today, that was insane. Not that we were really looking at it in that type of way, but. CoreWeave, though, being 15% is definitely hot. Second here on the watch list. Still going up, too. Big extensions here on the first few 1-minute candles. First 8 minutes to 10 minutes into open here, and this stock is explosive. My Thinkorswim's still trying to open in the background. You guys would laugh at that. Still trying to open. There we go. Good morning. Afford. I don't know how to say your name. Let me know and I'll correct it, of course. Man, CoreWeave. That is beautiful there. QQQ or the NASDAQ moving higher today, up 0.2%. Nice recovery, nice. SPY got through our resistance at 691.30. Looking pretty good on the breakout here. A lot of bullishness so far today as the gap has now filled and broke. Filled and broke. So that's a good sign, though, to get up through that resistance. That's a good one. SPY starting to look pretty well here today. Silver at 100. Yeah, well over it now even. Or, well, I guess you meant SLV. Yeah, SLV's there. Everybody's been targeting that for a long time. There it is. Silver keeps on moving. We love silver. I actually have a buddy that travels the country, and he buys and sells gold and silver for a long time. He's been doing that for a while now, and he said that during this gold and silver boom, it has been insane. Well, I guess to say it nicely, the dude pretty much makes like $300K a year buying and selling gold. So, earnings session gonna be a crazy week. Oh, Robert. Thank you, Robert. Once again, coming through clutch. Let me fix my setup here on the desktop really quickly. Then I'm gonna answer your question. There we go. All right. He said, hey, Tom. Like thoughts on gold and silver run? I'm not playing much at all, going down, but if we do get a shutdown, I know the government will go on. Also, thoughts on the KBE, big money trade. Will that also be affected? Yeah, KBE is going to be affected in a major, major way here. Not necessarily by the government shutting down, but there's just a lot in play with the banking system in general here, right? It's starting to be something that people worry about with, let's say, credit delinquencies, things like that. It starts to create a little higher risk here, and obviously that's been reflected as the banks started to pull back a bit, but KBE had been doing very well. The big money trade from November has not done the best, really, to be honest. You know, KBE has shown resiliency and has really powered forward. Now, I do think that there could be opportunity in the KBE big money trade still working out. It's just that we're getting pretty far out here. Now, there's a lot of time to this, so keep that in mind. It can still definitely work out given the time frame. Now, again, it's just one of those things that you just have to be comfortable swinging. I would say make sure you're not over leveraged on it at all. That way you can actually hold it for longer. Maybe you'll have to expand out your stops slightly, but I like the way it started to turn over here, and I think that whenever the government shuts down, again, like, banks will be pretty fine. Like, if we go to like JP Morgan and we go to, like, whenever the government shut down earlier this year, it looks like that the bank JP Morgan did do pretty rough during that time, at least for the first like month of October there. Let's go check like the rest of them, because this might be a bit of an indication. I mean, yeah, Bank of America, same thing. Sold off in a pretty bad way. How about Goldman Sachs? Yeah, I mean, same scenario, you know. The shutdown started to occur and the banks trended down. Now, that doesn't mean that it was necessarily just because of that, because they did start recovering before the government reopened. Some of them even made full recoveries, so keep that in mind too. It's not like I'm saying that this has to happen. There could have been something else in play too. Something else with the banks that started hitting. Interesting, though, to look at that. I hadn't really checked on the banks during that other shutdown, so it's interesting to go back there. Now, whenever you look at the SPY during the other shutdown, the SPY actually fared pretty well for the most part. It ended up 3%, and there was a lot of chop, but it fared fairly well. So I don't feel like the banks are going to get hit too hard there. But regarding the gold and the silver run, yeah, I feel like we're getting just a little bit too high with gold and silver. Now, again, I love playing it in the short term, but it's hard for me to really justify like swings like 3 months to the upside here, for example. AMD's down $6. Not really good. Advanced Money Destroyer today. Uh-oh. Wow, it had some pretty nasty candles there in pre-market. It seems like his core weave ripped. AMD died this morning. That's an interesting dynamic there. Look at AMD actually double topping on the daily chart. That's a pretty tough resistance there for AMD. They might have some trouble breaking out. Jose said, thoughts on MP? Mr. James said MP's dropping some. Yeah, in a crazy way, actually. It had a good move early on, and then it gave it all back here. Wow, they did have a crazy drop-off. What the hell? Ooh, at least USAR isn't that bad. Man, MP Materials has a massive pullback coming into play. I'm going to see if there's some news. I don't really see any, though. Let's see. Nothing too crazy there. It just says USA Rare Earths partnered with Trump. Maybe that's a bit negative for him. I mean, they popped off initially this morning, so weird PA. Very, very weird. MasterCard. I'm a bit worried about these credit card companies like MasterCard and Visa with this 10% credit card interest rate cap. I haven't heard much going on with that. But it was supposed to happen on January 20th, about a week ago. Yeah, it's pretty strange. Now, again, like, I haven't seen too many people talking about it, but I did see something here that says the Capital One CEO says that it will likely bring on a recession. We can also hear what Jamie Dimon has to say about it, which I would assume that the banks aren't going to like that at all, because then they can't rip people off, right?
To improve affordability is to impose a 10% cap on credit card rates. Is that a bad idea?
It would be an economic disaster. And I'm not making up because our business, we would survive it, by the way. You would, if you, in the worst case, you'd have to have a drastic reduction of the credit card business. I mean drastic, I mean like 10%, I mean like 80%. It would remove credit from 80% of Americans, and that is their backup credit. But I have a great idea. Since there's a huge disagreement on this one, between Republicans and Democrats, I think we should test it. And in my view, and I can't do this, because it'd be antitrust, but the government can do it. They should force all the banks to do it in 2 states, Vermont and Massachusetts, and see what happens. and then I think the left will learn everyone who thinks manipulating price will learn a real lesson. And the people crying the most won't be the credit card companies. It'll be the restaurants, the retailers, the travel companies, the schools, the municipalities, because people will miss their water payments, their this payment and that payment. It would be something else to watch. I think they should test it.
That's very interesting there. I would be interested to see if they actually did a 10% interest rate cap on credit cards. I feel like that's pretty harsh. Now, again, I think it would help a lot of people, but I don't know. What are the real negative implications there, right? I don't know. Other than the credit card companies not making as much, I can't see what the negatives are. I don't get why it would be a big economic disaster. Maybe it would increase credit requirement or something. I'm not sure, but... yeah, kind of. Yeah, Steve. Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering, Steve. Because, like, essentially, Caleb Hammer. I know, that would be a good one, Brain. But essentially, like, it sounded like that if they did the 10% credit card cap, that what they would do is then, it sounded like, because he straight up said, like, it's going to suck whenever all these restaurants are, like, missing their water payment bills and all this stuff. Like, what does that mean, Jamie? Like, that you guys are going to go in and, like, take their credit away or something? Or I'm a bit lost, but I don't know. Zachary says that they're going to start shutting cards down and closing them that haven't been used. And yeah, I'm not seeing the harm there either, really. It would harm JP Morgan. I think that's a definite. A definite. It would harm JP Morgan and the banks. And Capital One and all of them. But yeah, that's a weird one. It's a weird one. Weird situation there. SPY's still up, Mason says. He says everything's falling, but the SPY is still up. It's a powerhouse. Let's pull up the Mag 7. I call it the blank 7. There we go. Hey, Apple's up 2%. Meta's up a little bit. Microsoft. Apple seems like the true powerhouse here today, with Microsoft looking pretty strong too. Apple's making a bit of a recovery effort here on the daily. Apple's been getting crushed over the past few weeks. Since the start of the year, yeah, Apple has been crushed down pretty hard. If Doge was run by Caleb Hammer. I don't know, man. That'd be pretty funny. Zachary Overton, the only downside would be less available access to credit lines. Yeah. Steve said, what's the significance of Vermont and Massachusetts? I feel like Massachusetts is good because it has, like, enough, at least it has, like, a decent amount of, like, I think it's, like, a small amount of people, but it's, like, a decent economy. Whereas, like, Vermont would be, like, maybe testing, like, the rural areas. I'm not quite sure there. Oh, harm the left-leaning states. Oh. I didn't know that's what he meant at all. Good guy. Good call. That could definitely be the case. I don't even know how those states voted in the last election, though. Oh, I got you, Wes. Now I get it. That makes sense. Palantir, bit boring today on the daily chart, not really moving too much. Looking at the 5-minute, it is trying to come up though a little bit here. Started coming back a bit at the opening move, but we can see it's still off of Friday's highs quite a bit. At least it's not the worst looking stock out there today. Looking at the watch list, USAR, of course, was leading, but it keeps pulling back and is losing its place. CoreWeave is about to overtake it on the day. CoreWeave has been the hottest stock of the morning, I would say. Up 15%. Deal with NVIDIA. Obvious news there to help the run. Great job by them. APLD. Applied Digital. Massachusetts is the only state in the union that has no red districts. Whoa. Now that's a stat. The metals. A trilogy metals. That's it. TMQ moving higher here today to 7%. Dropped a little bit at open, but it's holding up pretty well. TMC, the metals company, was doing well, and gosh, they just had that massive pullback here. They're actually leading the watch list down. CRML had the same thing happen. These rare earth companies were explosive this morning, but now they lead the watch list down. That's a pretty bad move. Pretty rough and bad moves there. Yeah, you might be right, Jake. I don't know which one's more important, but they're both pretty good. RSB! Hey, long time no see, right? Thanks for joining up. Appreciate it as always. If you guys are just now joining up, destroy that like button. Hit that subscribe if you are new to the channel. Also, just the likes help us on the stream here as well. If you like money, you're gonna love silver. I keep seeing that meme all over the place. It has, like, what's his name? Murray. Bill Murray or something like that. Mays. Billy Mays. Thoughts on Oracle and MU? Let's see. You guys probably think I'm nuts. I'll have to pull it up. Oracle. Whoa. Pretty good today for Oracle. 3.7%. This is a pretty good move. Looking at the daily, Oracle's starting to bounce off the lower support range pretty well. You also mentioned Micron, which Micron is a lot shakier today. It's making the comeback, though, so I like it. I like the comeback. There's still $400 resistance, but I think right now for a quick scalp up, you could attempt a breakout through resistance here. I think Oracle has a lot more better directional PA so far, though. Even though it does have a couple red 1-minute candles, I like it. Now, I do like MU. It's just buying it up right here at this exact moment in this exact spot. It's a little hard as resistance is here. If we do see like a dip like this again, though, maybe you could eye up a possible dip buy on a little bit safer of a purchase there, but either way, there could be opportunity, depending on your trading style. You know, some people like to really wait for those dips and do the dip buying, where some people would, you know, rather buy like right where I'm pointing and just exit immediately on the next 1-minute candle. A lot of different styles and niches out there in the market, but I would probably prefer a dip buy in this case with resistance there, just in case it, you know, continues red. You're up 25% on GLD in 2 months. There you go. Yeah, 2 months, and it's been doing fantastic. My word. Did you buy on that November dip? It looks like you did. Somewhere around there. Jake's up 30% just this month on SLV. Whoa. Not on options either, right, Jake? Straight up just the just SLV itself. Let's see. We go to January 2nd. I mean, it looks like it's definitely possible. 52% actually. If you bought just at the very beginning of January. Now, granted, of course, I know you're probably not right in there at the low, but wow, still amazing. Love to see it. It says, the good guy says, Massachusetts' contribution to the union is greater than 90% of the other states, though. The problem is that Massachusetts does not depend on manufacturing as other states, making it hard to fail. Oh, okay. Their contribution to the union is greater than 90% of other states. So when you say contribution to the union, how do you measure that? Like, is it measured in GDP per capita, or is it measured in total GDP, or is it measured in, like, I don't know, tax money? I'm curious. You're lucky to buy 10/1 at $42. Hey, now that sounds great, Jake. You meant just this month. I see. Taxes paid. Okay. Okay. I figured it was a pretty rich state. We have basically no manufacturing. Education, healthcare, finance, biotech's all big, RSB says. Where you at again, RSB? I want to take a guess. I figured that that's what you meant, but he's from Boston. Okay. No manufacturing. Most states actually take from the union. The only rich red state is Texas. Heavy on chemical and refinery. Interesting. How about Missouri? What does Missouri look like, the good guy? There's probably a lot of taking going on. 420 holding up on Tesla on the daily as support. Pretty rough PA today, though. Straight down. Let's pull up that Mag 7 again. Because why not, right? I'll tell you one stock that's been doing very well for me personally is NVO down here at the bottom. I know a few of you guys have been getting in on the NVO action as it's been rising, but my gosh, that dip buy opportunity recently was fan-fucking-tastic, I gotta say. That was a good way to start the new year with that nice uptrend starting to come into play there with NVO. 30% on that one. What do you guys think about NVO and these weight loss drug companies? Do you think that it's a good option? I still think that there's room, Raphael. I just would give yourself a lot of room to average in. Once we start to get like above this range, I don't think I'd be a buyer anymore. I would just be a holder, but I think in this range you can still average in. Like if you averaged in now, I would definitely leave yourself room though in case it falls down to like 53 and you know you can average in again. Continue to do it there, but I feel like that these weight loss drugs are going to be pretty solid for the longer term. I love the way NVO pulled back. It's creating a really good buy the dip opportunity. And if we go and we zoom out on the daily chart, it becomes really enticing too. Now, I've been looking at this for months for those of you that follow the channel, but for those of you that haven't remembered, or for those of you that are just now newer to the channel, you can see obviously this bounce starting to come into play, exactly where it came into play in the past, holding up extremely well here. Especially breaking past this recent resistance right around $50.50 was the best sign to start off with there. The only slight negative with NVO is that it's slightly overextended in the short term. So like I said, just leave that room to average in, but I love this company going forward here. HIMS still probably will get hit harder. HIMS offers some of that stuff, but yeah, HIMS is in a rough spot here. I know that I think that NVO is starting to offer it more directly to consumers rather than going through people like HIMS and different outlets, which I think hurts HIMS. I know there's Trump RX and a few different things like that too. I'm actually a big fan of HIMS, the company. Just the stock itself can get very strange. It's in a very strange spot for me right now. Silver keeps climbing, and Amazon's doing it also. Let's go check in on silver here. Is it still moving up intraday? Yes, it is. Well over 110 an ounce, hitting 111 an ounce now. Pushing 112 an ounce. It's almost a 112, so. Goddamn, another 8% move there. Gold up 2% again as well. My gosh. This is getting crazy. hit that currency creation and metals manipulation is coming undone in real time. We are witnessing this. Missouri is a recipient state and contributes less than 2%. Yay! I'm just kidding. That's pretty funny, though, I gotta say. The comments in the Bitcoin channels are getting angry. Silver and gold are stealing their thunder. I know. There's a lot of people that I've actually seen selling out of Bitcoin and buying gold and silver. If we look at Bitcoin in the short term, there's a lot of negatives here. It actually just fell under a big trend line, and it actually kind of confirmed under there, which is a bit strange. But guys, with Stocked Up, we're working on some insane updates that you guys are going to love coming up here this year. There's already been a couple sneak peeks of these updates. Already been a couple of these that those of you in the trading floor have seen. Like the new research and development tabs. A lot of new information and new updates to these bots coming out too. So make sure you get in if you're not yet in the trading floor. Once the updates come out, prices will probably increase a little bit. So get yourself nice and locked in. If you're interested, here is a link in the chat. Use code CRUSH2026 for the New Year savings. Still in play right now. The problem with Bitcoin is that we're supposed to hedge the market and not move with it. Well, that's what some people wanted, but just because people want that, good guy, doesn't mean that that's how it goes. They say that actually with gold and silver too, that it's supposed to hedge the market, but it's actually risen with the market a lot this year. Well, I should say in 2025. What rules would you set up to scalp silver if you were going to take a bite at it? It's a pretty good question. Right now with silver, it's a little bit overextended on the day. So what I would be doing is I'm looking for a few red candles, kind of like what's coming in right now. Also, what I would do is I would measure up these pullbacks. They look like they're about that large or so. Yeah, maybe a little bit bigger in some cases today from open, but nothing too crazy from that. You know, maybe draw it up here. Boom. You know, we're getting fairly close now. If you were going to set it up, I would definitely stop out on those measurements or just under those, if you catch my drift. So in that case, you'd probably enter like this, and you'd be targeting something like 2 to 1 risk reward potentially. Might be a little too much there, but you don't always have to get to the exact top. But that would be a big rule that I had here today, is I don't want to keep holding if we do see, let's say, a larger pullback than this come into play. What I would rather do then is just re-enter later. I would just re-enter later. You know, RSB, that's a very tough question to answer. He says, what's a good way to determine a pullback versus a total reversal, like what some stocks do? And that's kind of exactly what I'm doing right here, is see how like we have these little pullbacks mixed in? You know, so far today, we've seen these little pullbacks. If we start to see something that's larger than these little pullbacks, then that's where I would start to think that there could be a reversal. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a full-fledged one that lasts all day long or anything like that. Nobody really knows that, RSB. But if you can catch where that momentum shifts, you know, there can be points where maybe you get lucky and you catch a few that do end up, you know, going down all day long or something like that. But the big thing is seeing the confirmation of the uptrend come to an end, right? Right now, the uptrend's still in play for silver. There's really no indication that this uptrend has ended yet. Now, it could be a point where silver falls, right? But there's really no indication of that. And so far, off of all these little dips, we get bought up pretty quickly. And again, right here, there's green coming in. Now, if we start to really break under this low, and especially under like the peak from this pop right here, that's where I'm going to get a lot more worried of a much larger pullback coming into play. Again, it doesn't have to last all day long, but if you're on like a scalping basis, this is definitely something to keep in mind. You had 100 shares on silver and you stopped out, unfortunately. You still made profit though. You had around $80 a share. Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be doing pretty good right now. Be up like another 25-30% or something, but looking solid. They're hunting SLV stops. Tangy Man got tossed at 105. All right, here we go. Now SLV starting to pull back a bit more like these other pullbacks were playing out. So we'll see now if we do start to get that bounce back or not. Let's go back to the SPY though. I'm sure some people are sick of sitting on silver whenever SPY is ripping through resistance. 691.30. Breaking like crazy this morning. That was a big level to grit through. It tried to use it even as support even and bounced back up again. 693.25. SPY looking fantastic here to start the week. 691.30 was huge. That was a big resistance where SPY was really stuck. You can see the lower end of the range down there at 687, the upper end of the range at 691 to 691.30, and that breakout was significant. Very significant there today. Anybody who longed on the breakout there is very happy. Tesla really bouncing here. Lots of support around 438 because Tesla was very rough this morning. It broke that 440 support zone and is held under there pretty well, but it's actually now back above 440 and 438, little double bottom, acting as decent intraday support at least here. I'm going to down some of this Gatorade really quickly. Ah, there we go. Mr. James hesitated. Yeah, how are you guys doing with the snow? Everybody doing good out there? I know that was a big deal this weekend. It snowed like a foot at my house. I'm pretty surprised and lucky that the power didn't go out or anything. And that the internet's been working. It's been pretty good, actually. This new house is going to be much better than the old one, I have a feeling. In the Discord, Ghosty said, do you know if Zoom had any news? And he put KNEWS. How is Zoom doing today? Oh, yeah. 6.2%. Pretty solid. I have noticed that Zoom makes these wild moves every once in a while here. It's like very close to resistance though. Zoom is very close. No snow here by the Pacific, but the day-night temperature differences has been drastic and my arthritis has been absolutely brutal. Everything hurts. Oh no. I know like 50 degrees is cold for you guys. I'm gonna go out here on the Pacific and see what we're looking like here on the weather app really quick. How cold is it over there? Oh yeah, the high is like 50. Yep. Wow, the low's 40 there. That's pretty. I didn't know it got that cold there. That'd be pretty funny if it started snowing. The good guy said, still trapped in as I live in a small road and was not plowed. One of my neighbors will call the city to complain eventually, I hope. I hope they do too, or else you're stuck. Here, let's call him live on the stream. I'll call him for you. Thoughts on Intel being down today? After this move already, let's see. Wow, pretty big pullback there by Intel. I know that they had earnings last week and it disappointed to end the week there. Pretty rough price action. Let me fix the music really quickly. The songs have ended. Every time I go to something on YouTube, it says this content's not available. But then if I refresh, it works. So, I don't know. Spinal. That was so weird with Mike Tyson. Man, Intel down 5.8%. That is pretty brutal. What were you referencing there, though, Mr. James? Intel? Or, oh, Tangy Man, I see. You see a dusting of snow, I see. Do people fly all around in those supercars, Tangy Man? Where you live? Anytime I see anything that involves Los Angeles, I see like Ferraris ripping around all over the place. That's all I see. I don't see anything else. Besides homeless people. But we won't talk about that. How are the banks today? Bank of America coming back? Okay. Oh, they fly around in everything, it sounds like Tangy Man saying. Yeah, banks not much today. Not much PA. Shit boxes even. How you guys feeling today about the market? I know it's been very nice start to the week so far. Oh, whoa. Hang on, that wasn't supposed to... There you go. Started echoing on me for a second. I'm going to do a little poll here. Let's run one up. Whoa. Sorry, guys. This keeps being weird on me. All right, here we go. It's poll time. There's a lot going on this week, guys. The poll is going to be, will the SPY test all-time highs this week given the good start? Remember, we have an FOMC interest rate decision and Jerome Powell press conference on Wednesday at 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Then on Wednesday in after hours, just after that conference, we're going to have Microsoft, Meta, and Tesla, all three report earnings right there. And then on Thursday night, we're going to have Apple report earnings. So we have three very large, very important earnings on Wednesday, one on Thursday, and then the FOMC event Wednesday as well. So there's a lot going on here this week. There might be some other stuff mixed in. I don't think it's going to be that crazy considering this. There could be a pick of the next Federal Reserve chairman. That's an interesting one. Rick Reeder is now leading the polls or leading the prediction markets on being Trump's pick now. And then the last one. All right, sorry. They limit on how much characters I can put in these polls, so it makes it hard sometimes. All right, starting it up. Will the SPY test all-time highs this week, given the good start? Yes, the all-time high will break. SPY will pop, but not break highs. SPY will fall down and go negative. Or SPY will stay flat around these prices. Which one do you think? SPY's not far from the all-time high. Let's go ahead and pull it up. The all-time high is at 697.30. From where we are right now to 697.30, it's essentially a 0.62% pop. I guess you could say like 0.65 if you wanted to get real technical. SPY keeps moving too, so it keeps making it a bit harder. But essentially 0.65% from the high. SPY's up 0.5% today. It could be there tomorrow if we get good momentum. So far though, so good. Looking at this trend line, let's extend it out. The SPY's technically, I mean, hitting on it right now again. A big level for SPY today. It might be a tough one. This could be an area where SPY turns over. Hard to say, though. A lot of good momentum today, so I'm not leaning on that. It's just a possibility. All right. No tears for Tangy. I'm tough and Rumble. Is Google looking good, Raphael says. GOOGL, let's see. Google, nice pop there by Google. Yeah, Google's looking pretty hot this morning. I like the way it's moving. It's definitely hot. It doesn't mean that the hotness has to continue, but it definitely is pushing up here off this recent dip. I like it. The one concern I have is it looks like it's going to be testing its own trend. It's been kind of following this trend and channel to the downside a bit. It's not perfect because it did break under here at one point, but you know, you can generally see how it's been moving off of here. Maybe today's the day that we break out. Make sure to get those votes in on the poll, though. See you later, Demure. Destroy that like while you're on your way out. Yeah, UUUU's down 8%. I know, we saw a lot of pullbacks today. A lot of rare earth companies. Now, you might say like UUUU, they work with rare earths, but they're mainly like uranium. They had this major gap up today, and a lot of them pulled back in a very hard way. I have no news or answer for this. It just has kind of been just how it's went. I mean, like it says here, the headline early on today was that these stocks were trading higher amid sympathy with USAR, which has exploded as Trump took a 10% stake. It's still up 9%. It was up like 45% though, whenever it was touching 40, maybe even more than that. Maybe it was like 60. I can't, let's go check it again. Oh yeah, 60% plus whenever it was touching 40. Big pullback. Tangy said, UUU is so overbought. This is the usual profit-taking cycle. I know, if you zoom out on UUUU, you guys are going to be blown away. Whenever this stock starts to get some nice rips going, you know, it gets these periods where it forms these massive uptrends and it starts to pull back in pretty massive ways and starts to trade within a channel for a long time, if not even just pull back. Now, again, it doesn't mean that it's going to do it for 4 years like this again, but it does have that similar setup where we got that massive rip, clear double top, clear resistance, and immediate pullback. I mean, it is something that's semi-normal. Could UUU still go? Yeah, it still could, but you know, given the double top and given the negativity here last time, it's going to be hard to buy it here for an uptrend. Maybe if you're already holding it, it's fine, but looks like everybody's voting for the all-time high to break. Interesting. Get your votes in on the poll. Let's see how many we can get here. 50 would be nice. At least we're at 23 here later in the stream. 50 would be a good number, I'd say. Steven. Tangi said, yoga is your friend. You might feel silly doing it, but it keeps me loose and functional. Oh, God. That would be one scary yoga class. SPY starting to actually pull back a bit. Now, it had some amazing rips this morning. I'm not surprised to see it slightly pulling back at all. 693.40 coming up. We go to the hourly chart. SPY is testing a major trend line as well. Very large level for the SPY. SPY has been actively dropping since touching that trend. It could try to break through here today. I feel like we need some good news, though, but maybe no news is good news in this market. Or minimal news, anyways. There's always going to be something, but... Oh no, Tangi. Watch out. I'm on Bloomberg Markets here, seeing if there's any updates, anything crazy coming this morning. I mean, you know, don't forget CoreWeave had that good initial move. That stock was on fire early on. It did slow up now. Don't shoot the messenger. Gold topped $5,000. I know that was a big number to hit last night. You like the music? Appreciate it, Super Lego. He said it's vibing. I like it. I like the name too. UMAC getting shredded. Unusual Machines down 8.47%. Yeah, pretty rough. Let's look at the watch list to the downside here. MP, Fly. MP is pretty rough to see. Intel 2. Yeah. Yeah, 4230. Who keeps calling me? I keep getting calls from these damn spam numbers. They're starting to piss me off. It's never stopping right now. IMSR is getting sold off as well. Terrestrial energy down 11%. Ooh. TMC down a ton too. TMC has been straight to the downside. My gosh. It looks like it's touching support though. How the hell? Oh my gosh, it is on support. TMC just got destroyed today. What the? Now, I know I looked at USAR and TMQ and so many other stocks that popped and then pulled back, but holy crap, I think TMC takes the cake today. How's SPY moving on that trend? Let's see. Coming back to test. Doesn't really give me the vibe of a breakout incoming here, but could be wrong. A bit conflicted up here at this zone. You stopped out with half of your TMC. Whoa. Yeah, it was a big pullback. I'm sure that happened to quite a bit of people today. Did you actually take an L on it, or like did you stop out with like a trailing stop or something like that? Seems like it's trying to really bounce off this lower support though. Might be a decent buy the dip. Super quick though. Super quick. Wouldn't hold it too long. Tesla very weak today. Tough one to trade. Palantir very stuck and choppy. Yeah, there could be a good buy the dip here really quick. The good guy. I'm not saying for the longer term. You know, that requires a different type of analysis. And really, if it's for the longer term, you just have to keep averaging in. Dollar cost averaging is the name of the game. But if you're talking about a quick intraday scalp, this could be a good bottom of the day. Just, you know, if it flushes under there, try not to hold. It's hard to time up those bottoms and snipe it like that. What's strategy gonna do? Let's go see MSTR. Wow, now that's a weird move today. Created like a, I don't want to call it an M because I think that sounds dumb, but it created a little double top action and came back down to test those opening levels around 160. And I'm going with flat to slightly down. One thing that's a bit negative with MSTR today is that it filled the gap. It filled the gap up and then rejected, which is not the best sign. Now, if it filled the gap and rejected slightly and then immediately recovered, I think things would be fine or different, but not really the case here. Those yield max funds did terrible. I don't even remember those guys. TMC to 0. Whoa, you guys are getting wild out there. TMC to 0. Now that would be fun. What's that stock that did go to 0 recently? Or it has that bankruptcy news. It's pretty much at 0. Oh, it's iRobot. That's it. IRBT. 15 cents. Not even trading anymore. Hasn't traded in like 10 days. Yep. That one got crushed. PLTW. All the weekly dividends. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how these stocks really work. I always tell people, look, if you're looking to buy Palantir, just buy Palantir. I would say for the average person that they're a no-go. Yeah, it has to really outperform, right? Let's go back to SPY. Right back to the high of day. SPY's still up around this upper zone. Having trouble on this trend line and high of day, though. SPY's been stuck here for a little while, coming up for a quick test again. This is where we might start to see that high of day break happen. But I think that this is where we're getting to that confliction point where we're going to be seeing a possible move start to actually occur instead of just being, you know, stuck here in the zone. Wow, Tangy Man did a few shares just to see how it would go, and yeah, glad that they didn't. Yeah, the dividends usually start destroying it there, and I think for the majority of traders, they don't even understand it. SPY still stuck here. Come on, SPY, let's get some action. The people want some movement out here. We can get it done, SPY. Come on. QQQ starting to move a bit. What the hell kind of weird glitch candle is this on TradingView? Oh my gosh. That makes it like unusable. Fix it. Look at that. It's showing a print on QQQ down to $0, I think. Down to 0.162. What the? Sorry, guys. I guess we won't be looking at QQQ today. That's very weird. At least the SPY doesn't have that. No, it's been getting flat lately, Coconut. It's gotten so high, though, that people are starting to become worried about it. Man, SPY is having trouble on that trend. Palantir getting stuck intraday, up 0.05%. Starting to try and look like it's trending higher, though. Getting a bit more of price action coming through. Of course, USAR has been the hot player today. Up 16%. It's starting to actually maybe bounce back. USAR had trended down really hard here ever since that initial open. Pre-market open, I should say. To clarify. Zoom's up 8%, though. Nice PA by Zoom, keeping it going. Very beautiful. 7.8% now for Zoomy Zoom. Looking at the daily, Zoom is now up through resistance. Some interesting movement there. Good PA. Later, Tyson. That's funny. We're probably going to be ending it here shortly as well, Tangy Man, so good timing. SPY's getting too slow. Remember, there's no crazy events tomorrow. At least nothing lined up that I've seen. Wednesday, though, is the big day. We get the FOMC interest rate decision releasing. That's going to be critical. Only 33 votes in today's poll. We're ending it up. 39% said yes, the all-time high will break this week. So the majority of you guys are voting for an all-time high break. Will Zoom climb more or pull back? It's getting pretty damn high. I wouldn't be clinging on to it much longer. Now, these stocks, when they go, they love to go. So I would not be surprised if it went a little bit more. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to have a trailing stop loss there. And if it does move down, you just got to take profits somewhere, right? Got to TP somewhere. But alrighty, guys. Appreciate you as always. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope that everybody walks away in the green here today. Decent price action. If you're interested, check out the Discord. Hop in there, getting some conversation flowing. People are in there talking all day long. Always looking at crazy setups and good moves in the market, of course. Always looking for more opportunities. If you guys have any, throw them out there too. Wouldn't be totally terrible to hear some analysis or some opinion out there. Ooh, Microsoft just unveiled a AI chip. I just saw a headline. Microsoft unveils latest AI chip to reduce reliance on NVIDIA. See, the stock actually popped up a little bit about 7 minutes ago. Keep your eyes on Microsoft. This could be an interesting development today. It's actually recovering up well off the dip too. Oh yeah, this could be where some money comes flowing. Looking good, looking good. But yeah, appreciate everybody today, even the lurkers out there, of course. Thanks for sticking with us the past couple weeks while I've been moving. It's been very difficult with everything going on. It was a lot harder to move than I thought. And then number two, my computer broke. That's been the best one. And then it snowed a foot. So that's great. Alrighty, guys. Have a great one. I'll talk to you later. I hope that we all have a great rest of the trading day and great rest of the week. I would say pretty good start, though. Pretty good start with the way that SPY moved so far today. Not the worst start to the week. See you guys later. Keep your eyes on that trend line with SPY. If it breaks today, keep watching for uptrend, but I'm getting worried that we might see rejection. Have a plan ready for some puts just in case we do see a rejection. You can catch it, and hey, if you do catch it and you profit well, tag me up in the Discord. See you later, guys.